Hey there, Capricorn, and welcome to your 2020 Creativity Tarot reading. My name is Kayleigh Jean, and welcome to my channel. I record these readings for artists, entrepreneurs, and anyone who is interested in their personal growth, psychological healing, spirituality, or self-expression in any form. So if any of those areas of life are interesting or important for you, I suggest you keep on listening. And I also wanted to let you know that I record these readings for sun, moon, and rising signs, so you can always go ahead and check all three or however many different ones you have. I know some people have the same sun and moon sign or the same sun and rising sign, so just check whichever three signs or however many signs are the most important for you in your chart. To help give you an insight into kind of the full spectrum of the energies of the year for you. And I also want to say too that when we're looking this far ahead, it's natural and normal if some of these messages don't really make sense to you right now, but I encourage you to save this video, maybe save it to your liked videos if you want to help me out. And come back to this video throughout 2020 because you will start to see connections most likely, and you'll start to see thematic correlations between the events of your life and what you're seeing in the cards in this reading. It's also normal sometimes though if these messages don't end up resonating because these are just general readings, so just be easy about it and let's get into it. My readings always start with a meditation and an intuitive message. So as I was tuning into your energy, Capricorn, I felt so much for you, and I feel like I've been resonating with you guys so much these past few months. There's a lot going on in your astrology, so maybe that's part of it. But what I was seeing was my guides tend to communicate with me through images and metaphors, and I was seeing someone kind of standing in the dark, and then I see this kind of column of light turn on around them, and like their whole body is sort of being illuminated by this almost like a sun beam like right over them. And it felt like, honestly, it felt like a cleansing to me. So I don't know what's going on for you, Capricorn, but what was coming through as I focused in on this image was I started to feel like, I don't know if you've had some really heavier internal emotions going on this year, or if you have been experiencing stressors in your life that you've been kind of keeping to yourself, or even maybe like challenging beliefs or negative thoughts that you keep having kind of going on in the back of your mind. But I feel like 2020 presents you with this opportunity to let those things go. And I also was feeling this particularly in the realm of like your attitude to want to improve every area of your life. And that's a good thing that Capricorns have. I know that I personally have a lot of Capricorns in my life, and they're always trying to improve. They're always kind of hungry to make gradual positive changes in every area of life. And I feel like that can sometimes be your Achilles heel a little bit because you can be really hard on yourself when maybe, let's say, you have your personal life and your personal relationships, and then you have your career, and then you have your health, and you have your spirituality, and you have, everything else, your friend relationships. I feel like you're somebody that always wants to kind of have positive changes in every single one of those areas, and when you don't necessarily feel that, or when it's not up to your exceptionally high standards, I think you're holding yourself basically to expectations that no human being could ever live up to. So the message, first of all, is 2020 can be a much easier year for you, Capricorn, because I feel like you're going to be more accepting of your own like limitations and your humanity. And I feel like that's going to be really powerful for you because it's going to represent like a significant shift in your perspective on life, and that shift in perspective is going to allow so much more joy in for you. It's going to allow you to actually experience the positive things that are going on for you, because I feel like sometimes right now good things are happening to you and life is taking you on these like beautiful journeys and adventures, and you're growing and you're doing so well, but you're kind of disqualifying those things, or you're not allowing that positivity in, like in. You're like, okay, that was good, but then I need to work on this, or this still doesn't work, or, you know, oh, that was a good thing that happened, but I'm still going to hold this thing that I did in the past against myself because I didn't pay enough for that yet, or, you know, whatever kind of like thing that you have going on just in terms of your thought process. It's like letting go of that by slowing down a little bit and accepting and embracing a pattern of thinking that's going to be more like regenerative of your self-esteem, and it's going to be more strengthening in terms of your confidence and your belief in yourself. And also part of that is in recognizing your human limitations, because when you accept and recognize your human limitations, you're not going to expect yourself to be perfect all the time. You're not going to expect to be making no mistakes, because nobody does that. Nobody does that, especially when we're doing something new, which I do feel that you'll be doing, because I was also seeing somebody cutting their hair. So I don't know if you are thinking about changing something about your appearance, Capricorn. This is a very transformative year for you, and I wouldn't be surprised if some of you are thinking about making some kind of big change to how you present yourself to the world, how you express yourself, maybe through clothing or your hair or your makeup, or just, you know, if you're somebody who wears makeup, maybe even switching out your car for a different, you know, expression, and whatever you normally do to express yourself in tangible ways, like in material ways in the world, is going to undergo a shift in 2020 that is noticeable. So just look forward to that, be excited about that, especially if you're somebody who hasn't made a big change to how you express yourself in a while. I think this is gonna enliven you. It's gonna give you this like spark of life again. It's gonna make you feel so refreshed. So let's go ahead and take a look at your cards. Capricorn, Capricorn, Capricorn. Okay. Okay. So I'm also going to get you some messages, or a message from the Animal Spirit Oracle deck, which is just going to give us some insight into a creature that will show us your fundamental transformation, your focal point, and also some advice for you for 2020, Capricorn. Okay, so let's take a look here. We've got Buffalo. This is actually freaking gorgeous for you, Capricorn. It's a very earthy energy, the Buffalo card is. It's an animal that, to me, is very grounded. It's kind of like a larger animal, and so there's just something that feels very rooted about it, like very centered and calm. And if you've ever seen buffalo around, they do kind of, generally speaking, have sort of this natural serenity to them. There's just something that's kind of chill. And I think that this is going to be an important message for you, because we do have a major stellium in your sign as we go into 2020, like game on, you know, from December of 2019 to January 15th. There's a major focus and a major focal point on your sign, and we do have, you know, just so much going on for you. So it's a lot, and we have Jupiter going into your sign as well. So I feel like what this is saying is like the attitude that this buffalo is taking, he's sort of looking ahead, and there's a storm, you know, brewing in the sky, and there's lightning. And that's something really beautiful about the buffalo, is that that's very unique, is that they will actually run directly into a storm, whereas all of the other animals of the prairie will run away from the storm. When it's rolling in, they're running away. And so they can be more afraid because they feel like the storm is chasing them because they're running from it and it's just following them. Whereas the buffalo turns and actually faces the storm directly and goes right into it and therefore gets out of it because they're going the opposite direction, but they're going, sharing the same space for a moment, and then the storm is passing. So there's this quiet determination with the buffalo. There's a gentle strength to this archetype for you. And I feel like this is a really beautiful kind of description of how you can choose to embrace this energy, because with Jupiter going into your sign, yes, that means that there's going to be an expansion in terms of your personal identity. There's going to be an expansion of how you express yourself to the world, just like what was coming through in the meditation as well. But there's also Pluto and Saturn in your sign, and they are kind of hovering around the later degrees of your sign in 2020. And they'll make a really quick dip into Aquarius, but then retrograde back into your sign. So there's just still a lot of energy in your house, in your sign of the zodiac. And I feel like what this is saying is that the changes that have been brewing for the last couple of years that you've maybe been recognizing slowly, like are needing to happen, because Pluto is also the subconscious or the unconscious mind as well, and Saturn is kind of like necessity and things that need to get done. I feel like some of you in 2020 are going to experience the realization of like a very much needed change and that you have to make, and then Jupiter is coming through and joining the party and saying, well, here's how you do it. It's like, here's the option, here's the doorway, it's open for you. You're gonna have to put in the work, but the door is open. So for those of you who've been feeling like you need to make a change but you haven't figured out exactly how or what that is, I think 2020 is really going to be your year. So let's take a look at your tarot cards and we'll get some more insights. Wow. We've got the Karma card, which is Judgment, and this is the eclipse, and there is going to be an eclipse in January, so like in 2020, so that's really, really powerful, on January 12th, I believe. So we have King of Swords, Knight of Cups, Five of Swords. May, we have Nine of Cups. June, we have Knight of Pentacles. July, we have Six of Cups. August, we have the High Priest. September, we have Eight of Cups. October, Ace of Swords. Five of Pentacles in November. And December, we have Queen of Wands. Beautiful reading. So I'm just tuning in here for a moment. I always look to the first card of any spread for the year as like a theme card to give us insight into the overall energies of the year for you. So the fact that the Karma card is coming up, I feel for you, Capricorn, I mean, beyond just the fact that there is an eclipse in your, during your season in January, on January 12th, or I think it's actually January 10th. Yeah, it's January 10th. By the way, that eclipse is not going to be visible from North America. I think it's visible from like in Africa and parts of like India. But it's still very significant. And what I'm getting here with this is just, it's kind of showing me that there's some kind of a cosmic component for you in 2020. There's some kind of a sense of, there's an immediacy to this card. There's an immediacy to the changes that are happening. There's a sense of meaningfulness with this card. If you think about an eclipse and what that means symbolically when the earth, the sun, and the moon are all lined up, whatever kind of eclipse it is, that's kind of what's going on. it implies that there's this sense of like things are coming to a point. If you look at the Smith version of the tarot with the Judgment card, there's a cross on that card, and the cross symbolizes like paths aligning in a central location. So it's kind of like the same thing, and I hope that you're kind of starting to feel what I'm saying and what I'm trying to zero in on, which is you are at a crossroads in 2020. You are finding yourself at the center of maybe either, like I was saying before, a crossroads, an intersection in your life, or there's just a sense of like right place, right time, things coming together, pieces locking into place in the puzzle. This is bigger than just you, Capricorn. This is bigger than just your life and your personal subjective experience of life. You're seeing actually how you fit into a bigger like puzzle or a bigger, broader view of things. And I do feel like this is more along the lines of right place, right time energy. I feel like this is you positioning yourself to take advantage of maybe some awesome opportunities that lift you up into being able to share your message on a bigger platform, or to heal yourself from some kind of physical difficulty that you've been experiencing, or to release a negative pattern from your life. Like, it's going to be unique to each one's situation, but this is massive. Like, this is powerful. This is a really powerful card to have as your kind of emblematic theme card for 2020. There's a sense of purposefulness behind everything that happens for you this year. And I think you're actually going to be quite comfortable with this energy, because we have the King of Swords in February. So in a mundane way, we could say there could be an air sign person that you interact with in February. That could be the case. But I'm more feeling this as you, Capricorn. I'm feeling this as you kind of witnessing your life from a broader perspective. The King of Swords has this hawk on his, or a falcon on his hand. So it kind of represents his access to like a higher vision. And I feel like this is really showing that February could be a very strategic month for you. It could be a time in which you are really kicking ass, honestly, with like business affairs or organizational things. Maybe your tax stuff, you're really on point with it this year. If you're a business owner who struggled with that in the past, there's some kind of sense of really like having it together, and at the same time being aware of the long view of what you're kind of building towards with your business, or maybe even, you know, your family or your lifestyle. We do have the Knight of Cups in March, so there could be something kind of like dreamy or romantic coming into your life in March. You could be also kind of, because we have this very like rigid and intellectual energy of the King of Swords, followed by the Knight of Cups, there could be in March like a surge of a desire to connect more emotionally to someone in your life or to a situation in your life. And there may be a sense with the Knight of Cups that you just really want to experience the gratification of like being seen or heard. So that might mean that you become more open and vulnerable with your team if you have like a business, or it could be that you are sharing more on social media about your personal life, or it may even be that like a new romantic interest comes in March. But if that's the case, Capricorn, if you're like partnered or single, it doesn't matter. If there's someone that comes into your life who is like a romantic interest, who's different and new, I want you to be really cautious with that, because we have the Five of Swords in April, which can be a card of kind of like a disappointment, or it can be a card of having to set a really firm boundary, or it could even be a card of defeat, you know, in some situations. So I want you to be mindful of kind of your gut instincts about anyone that you're dealing with like previously in March, because it's possible that if it sounds too good to be true in March, in April, you might find out it actually was too good to be true. So just keep that in mind. I definitely don't want to discourage anyone out there if you're listening to this in March and you're like, I'm so happy about this like new relationship. I'm not saying it's not going to work. It's just I want you to be cautious and take things slow so that you don't overinvest into something that is going to not meet your expectations. That's all that I'm saying. So just, stay discerning, I think, but also you could use this Knight of Cups energy in March just as easily for an increased period of creativity. Sometimes when you get this type of a card for a month in the year, you could feel like you're just so alive with imagination. You could just start writing a bunch of poetry all of a sudden, or you could write the rough draft of a screenplay, or if you're a musician, you could come up with, the most amazing song that's going to be like the single on your next album or whatever. It's like, this is the stuff of dreams. So use that kind of powerful, romantic, dreamy energy. Use that in ways that it's going to be advantageous to you, like through your work, or through expressing affection in your relationships and things like that. But don't get too swept up into anything. Like if it's someone new coming into your life offering you something, just make sure you read the fine print and all of that first. Okay, so May, we have the Nine of Cups, which is beautiful. It shows the achievement of some kind of a wish, some kind of a wish being granted. With the Nine of Cups next to the Knight of Pentacles, I feel like whatever's going on in May and June, it's not the end-all be-all, let's say. The Nine of Cups is a card of really good developments. It's something to celebrate for sure in May, and that makes sense because at least for, the first 3 weeks of May, that's going to be Taurus season, which is in trine to your points that you have in Capricorn. So there's going to be some really nice earthy benefits coming to you in May. I wouldn't be surprised if some of you got a promotion, or if you got hired for a new type of job, or if you start a second business, or if you start a project and you get really, really good feedback from it. I think that's going to be very heartwarming to you. I just get a really, really good supportive energy for you in May. Which is really great. But then it's like in June, it's like back up on the horse, So whatever that is in May that's like really supportive and great, that's not the end of it. It's kind of just the beginning because then you have the Knight of Pentacles, which is all about that work. It's all about dedicating yourself anew to a path. I see you potentially just getting back on the horse with some kind of a creative project or some aspect of your career. And I think it's going to be important for you to be very structured in terms of how you're going about accomplishing tasks, because the Knight of Pentacles is really a card that thrives on structure and strategy, and really having like a self-care routine as well is going to be important in June. I also want to mention that we do have a lot of retrogrades going on with the outer planets between April and June. We also have Mercury going retrograde in June. So what I also feel is going to add some depth to this message for you, Capricorn, is that when Mercury goes retrograde, and we have all these other planets retrograde by that point, you might feel like things, like progress slows down a little bit, especially after this really beautiful energy with the Nine of Cups. You might feel like progress or like outward achievement is slowing down, but the message is not to be discouraged about that. The message is just to keep slogging forward. And I don't actually recommend slogging. I don't think slogging is the best way to go through life, but I think you know what I mean. Sometimes it just kind of feels like that. And I think with the Knight of Pentacles, it's like do whatever you have to do to motivate yourself to keep getting up and, getting primed, getting excited, getting, happy, having fun, doing at least the base level of what you have to get done, and just keep putting one foot in front of the other. That's what I'm getting for June. July looks amazing for some kind of trip. There could also be travel with a sibling, or travel to visit family, anything along those lines. I also feel with the Six of Cups, there's a really happy energy around like children, any children that you may have in your life, Capricorn. I think that this is a really positive energy for you in July. I think you're going to feel rejuvenated if you take a little bit of time off in July. So I'm just going to put that out there. And I think you're going to feel like you get the most out of the areas of life that have to do with more of your emotional satisfaction with things. I think that spending some time with people really that love you and that are important to you is going to be basically the best way that you could spend, your extra time in July. So try and pencil that in, maybe go on a trip, like I said, with a sibling or visit a sibling or with your kids, something like that. August, we have the High Priest. So this is actually coming to me as a recommendation for you to work with a mentor or a coach. I also potentially see the energies of August being about stepping into like a new like area of study. So maybe with the High Priest in August, you could be taking a course or signing up for some kind of educational program or a vocational training, or even reading books about a particular trade or skill. Something else that could come through with this, and this is also something that I was feeling in the meditation, but I forgot to mention it, and it's coming back to me now, was about the study of the occult arts. And I feel like because you're going to have so much energy, we've got stelliums in your sign, we've got eclipses in your sign, we've got retrogrades in your sign, there's Jupiter in your sign now too. I mean, it's just, there's so much emphasis on Capricorn in 2020. It's insane. And I feel like if your life is kind of changing rapidly, or if things are becoming more profound for you in any way, and you're like, I can feel this, like I can feel life, like I can feel the bigness of what's going on in life right now, that might actually call you to study things like tarot or astrology or rune casting, or any of these things that kind of connect you to divination and to like a larger purpose, or into getting information from unlikely sources. I feel like there's something major here for some of you about the study of the occult arts and really taking that more seriously. So that could be something that comes through in August. Maybe you're taking a class, maybe you're attending a workshop, even reading some books on something occult could be an absolutely fantastic way to kind of reinforce your understanding of yourself and what this time period means for you. So in September, we have the Eight of Cups, and with October, the Ace of Swords, November, the Five of Pentacles. I feel like these are all really connected, so I want to show you what I mean. September, we have the Eight of Cups, showing this person walking away from these cups, and she's also walking towards this island. But what's striking me right now about this, and this isn't something that I usually see in this card or like, point out, but it's like there's a space between the rock that she's on and the rock that she's walking towards. You can see there's like this lighter area here. And that to me tells me that in September, you are trusting your intuition and your desire for more joy, which is the dolphin. You're trusting your intuition and your internal desire for more joy. And you are preparing yourself to take some kind of a journey or take some kind of a plunge that is going to put you in a transitional space. And what I mean by transitional space is like when you are, let's say, for example, leaving one industry and starting new in another one. Let's take that. When you're like in that period where you're in the middle of that transition, you're not really advanced yet, obviously, at the new thing that you're doing. But you're also not doing the thing that you were doing in the past that gave you guaranteed results. So there's like a vulnerability, I guess, and there can be self-doubt that comes up in that transitional phase because you're looking at yourself and, you're a Capricorn, so you're definitely doing this on some level. You're looking at yourself and what you've accomplished in the past and how well you did in the things that you have done like previously in your life that you've already mastered, and you're expecting that you're going to uphold that same level of productivity, or you're expecting that you are going to jump into this thing. Maybe unconsciously you have this expectation of yourself that you're going to jump into this new thing, and you're going to bypass somehow that transitional period where what you're doing maybe needs some work, or you yourself are feeling like what you're doing isn't up to your standards, or whatever. I feel like there's this sense of kind of in September, it's like you are taking this moment to sort of pause with yourself and really like soak in kind of that energy of like, this is going to work in the long term. Like, this is something that I can trust myself to maybe not be perfect at. Shocker. There's something here where you're like, okay, I know I'm going to go out there and I'm going to be in the middle of that open field, or I'm going to be in a boat, in between islands, and I need to have a plan for that time period. So part of this preparation could be financial. Obviously, if this is like a financial transition that you're making from one industry or career into another. It could also be an emotional thing, like if you're leaving a relationship and you know that you're going to be single for a while, then that you're going to be shoring up your strength for that. If you are even just going to be traveling the world, you could be leaving behind your familiar circumstances in order to travel because you feel like that's what you need. Whatever this is, I think it's important for you to look at your situation, your unique situation, Capricorn, and really like plan things out for the best that you can, to ensure that at least the basics are covered and that you have strategies in place for finances, for example, or for emotional strength and support. I think it's going to be important to have that sense of preparation, because the preparation will lead you to success. So that's the message in September, is really think about this and prepare for that transitional period wherein you may not feel totally confident in yourself, or wherein you may not be making as much money as you were in the past, or wherein you may not be getting as much positive reinforcement from managers and things like that because you're new. So I feel like what this is saying is really just prepare yourself for a period of time in which you're going to be very self-reliant, let's say, and you're going to have to be really easy on yourself, like baby yourself. Capricorn, baby yourself in these next several months, from October, November, I think, because we have the Ace of Swords in October, which is actually really nice. It shows me like a really fresh start. I see this as kind of like the new beginning that you were looking for in October. So whether this is like just as simple as a new way of thinking, or it's like you're actually literally doing something totally different and new, traveling maybe, having new experiences, that kind of thing, I see this as being very refreshing in October. So that's going to be a month of having a refreshed perspective and being very clear, like mentally. November, we have Five of Pentacles, which is another reason that I was sort of stressing that financial message earlier in September, is that you really want to plan for the winter when it comes to finances. We have seasons on Earth, but we also have seasons of our life. That means there's going to be springtime and summer when we're, bringing in a ton of money and we're doing great. And then there's also going to be times of waning or low periods, which are like our financial winters. So you want to just do whatever you can to kind of mitigate the extremes of that, so that no matter when winter comes, you are sort of prepared. You know what you need. You know that you're going to have, what you need. Even if you if you really simplify your life in order to, accomplish that, that's still perfect. That's amazing. All that it takes is just preparation. All that it takes is just strategy. But I don't see you really having a significant, difficulty. I think this is just perhaps in November, because you're in this transitional space, you're not raking in the dough like usual, or you're not feeling, totally supported by all of your friends and family around you because you just moved to a new state or a new country where you don't know that many people yet. So what I see in terms of the lack or like the wintry energy of November for you, it's not something to fear. I think it's something to expect, and it's something that is natural and normal for you to experience, and you can mitigate that, like I said before, just by thinking ahead. And, you know, knowing that if you just move to a country where you don't know anybody, it's normal that you're going to feel maybe a little isolated in the beginning, but you can do things to kind of put yourself out there. You can have phone calls with friends and family back home. It's that kind of energy that this is totally mitigatable. And I hope that this reading kind of helps you to see that and avoid any of the potential like pitfalls of getting yourself into this new situation, which is in your highest good. It's just any time we're doing something new, there's going to be fluctuations. So you want to just be prepared for those. Queen of Wands. You're ending the year, your season at the very end of the year. We have the Queen of Wands. So you're feeling on your game. You know, by the time the sun gets back into your sign in 2020, and maybe even before that, you're feeling really good. You end the year on a really high note. You're feeling positive. You're feeling optimistic. You're feeling creative. You're feeling more free than you ever have before. And that's what I really love about this reading, because you're looking into 2021 and you're like, I've had so many transformations this year. I've had so much shifting that I didn't expect, but that has given me so much to think about, that you're basically not afraid of anything, you know? It's like you're so empowered with that Queen of Wands. You're ready to take on the new year. Capricorn, we've got emerging. Oh, so beautiful. I love this card for you because it is so true that that's what's going on for you with Jupiter in your sign, with the grand mutation going on in your sign, with stelliums in your sign. I mean, you are emerging. You're showing up. This card is like, it's showing me that your spirit, your true self, your authentic self is showing up in life this year. And there's going to be like new aspects of you, new aspects of your character, new aspects of your desires and your likes and dislikes that are different, genuinely different from the you that you're familiar with. And I encourage you to embrace those and allow this emergence to happen. It's a new pattern coming into your life. And I think this is something that you're wanting. I think this is something that you have been hoping for. So it's growth, you know, Cappy, it's growth time. And I think you've been experiencing a lot of that in 2019. But it's going to be really powerful in 2020. So I hope this reading has been helpful to you in some small way. If you're still with me, leave me a little goat emoji down below in the comments. I'm really interested to hear how many of you are still with me. If you don't have emojis, go ahead and just write in the comment, like, I'm still with you, or something like that, and I'll send you so much appreciation and love for doing that. It really does help me to know that you guys are still with me. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up right now if you haven't already, because that really helps me to know that these readings are helpful to you. If you feel inspired by this reading and you feel helped by previous readings that I've given in the past, please consider donating to support my channel. Even just $1 is amazing, and it's so, so helpful for me. So I'll put the information on how to donate below. And if you'd like to have me look into your personal energies, I will put the information on how to do that as well. Okay, Capricorn, I hope you have an amazing year in 2020. I'm sending you so much love, prosperity, and bliss for your new year, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.